Hi, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sabina. And if you're new here, I'm really glad that you found your way. And if you've been with me since season one, thank you so much for being here and being part of this incredible growing ripple. And when I first launched Be the Ripple podcast, it didn't come from this big strategy meeting, this big branding session that we had. It was something that really came from a very personal place. So season one was filled with so many incredible stories, really powerful conversations that I had the opportunity to have with women and with some men, individuals that were navigating their careers, they were navigating leadership, reinvention, and sometimes also health challenges. And many of them, you may know, were also part of the Beyond the Ladder community. I pulled their stories from the book that I wrote. And what stayed with me just again and again from these conversations was that none of their stories fit into this box, into this drawer, or this traditional sense of what is success. And yet every single one of them was creating impact, and they were doing it in their own way. And that's where the idea of the ripple really began to take shape. We very often talk about impact as if it's something that we can see right away, something that's very measurable, very tangible that we can see today or tomorrow. But real impact doesn't always announce itself like a big megaphone. Sometimes it's a conversation. And sometimes it's a conversation that you've had years ago that suddenly comes back. Sometimes it's a question that just quietly sits and changes how you see yourself. And sometimes it's a decision that feels ordinary in the moment, but alters the direction of your life. And that's what really matters as we move into season two, because this season isn't just about big ripples versus small ripples. It's about actually moving away from labeling altogether, because who decides what's big and what's small? Who makes those decisions? It's a ripple is a ripple. And impact isn't about scale, it's about movement. And meaningful ripples are the ones that you don't necessarily see all the time and right away. So this matters deeply to me because it's part of my own journey. There was a moment years ago, which actually it was 30 years ago, and it connected to a conversation that I had with someone named Tom, who you may have heard about in my Ripple Talk. And if you haven't, go have a listen. And at that time, there was a very immediate impact and ripple for me. I could feel that impact in my own life. But what I couldn't see was that another ripple was about to unfold. However, decades later, that moment eventually led me to learn to give a TED Talk or a Ripple Talk. And that talk led to much deeper conversations. And those conversations led to the creation of the Ripple Network. And from there, the podcast was born. So some ripples take a very long time to reveal themselves. And that's what season two is really about. We're going to look in deeper, more intensely this season, not wider for the sake of it, but deeper for more reflection, more honesty, and intention. We are going to explore questions like, what does it mean to create impact? And what does it mean to create impact when it isn't visible right away? And how do we stay committed to our values when results are delayed and they don't come right away? And how do we redefine legacy not as something that we leave behind, but as something that we live every day? Because for me, legacy is not at all about a destination, it's very much a daily practice. And when we talk about ripples, we're not just talking about achievements, we're talking about influence and energy and presence, because it's about how we show up in the rooms that we walked into, in the relationships that we have, and in our own lives. So this season, you'll hear stories that may feel familiar and others may challenge you. Stories of reinvention, of courage, and of pauses that matter just as much as progress does, that actually lead to progress. So, my hope is that each episode leaves you with a moment of reflection, a question that can carry you forward, a conversation that you will be inspired to have. Because the ripple isn't the end at all, it begins there. And if you're listening and you feel a little nudge, this sense that you have a story or a perspective or something that you want to share, I would love to hear from you. And if you'd like to be a guest on the podcast, please reach out. Because remember, this space is built on shared voices and very much shared stories. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And most of all, thank you for being part of this incredible ripple of my life. And I'll see you soon.